In this video, I'm going to give you a bunch of gift ideas for this coming holiday season for the Marvel or DC fan in your life that's going to leave them completely shocked and awed on Christmas morning. If you're buying gifts for a Marvel or DC fanboy and you don't happen to be one, it can be difficult, but no worries, Big Nerdy here, I got you covered. If you happen to be a Marvel or DC fan, share this video with your family and friends and hopefully they get the hint. All the links for everything discussed is in the description. Let's get into it. We're going to start off talking about board games, which I think are a great gift for any nerd or non-nerd, to be frank. I love board games. The first one is Crisis Protocol. This one just came out about a year ago, but be warned, this isn't a standard board game. This is a mini wargaming board game. So this is actually more of a hobby type board game. Everything comes in little pieces and spews and you have to cut them out, glue them together and paint them, and it becomes a hobby within a hobby. But if your giftee is looking for a creative outlet, I don't think you can do much better than this. I just bought this last week. I glued my fingers together multiple times trying to put it together because I have giant-sized hands, but if I can do it, anybody can do it. Hey, I should have mentioned this, but if you get them Crisis Protocol, get them a good starter paint set to go with it as well. I'll put a link to one down in the description. Next up is Marvel Legendary. My neighbors Nate and Danielle own this and bring it over regularly, and when we're not playing Pandemic, we play this. It's another cooperative game where you team up as different characters in the MCU, and you try to take down a villain. The rules are a little complex, so it doesn't really work that well for a kid, and there's a lot of reading to it, but it's a great game for grown-ups, especially if you don't want to get at each other's throats and be all super competitive. Next up just came out a few weeks ago, and that's Marvel's Villainous. I actually have the Disney version of this where it's all Disney villains, and while it's not a direct copy, the only difference is in the Marvel version you have Thanos as the ultimate villain. And my last board game I recommend is a card game again, and this is the DC deck building game. In a lot of ways it's similar to the Marvel Legendary, and a lot of ways it's not. It is a collectible card game so people can continue to buy and collect the cards after you get them the starter set. Moving on to video games. I don't know if you've seen these yet. If you've seen any of my other gift guides, you've seen I love these. The arcade 1-up cabinets are insane. These things are a total throwback. They're replicas of the older arcade games we saw growing up. So I have some great ones that are meant just for your Marvel fans. First off, we have the X-Men vs. Street Fighter game. Then we have the Marvel Superheroes game. Either one are great games. If I had to pick between the two, I would actually choose the X-Men vs. Street Fighter game because I was a big nerd for both Street Fighter and the X-Men. And it's the 92 cartoon X-Men. So if your guy or gal grew up in the 90s, they're gonna love this. Fair warning though, these things weigh a ton. If you go to Walmart and try to buy it, you're gonna hate me. Go online and order it. The link in the description as I publish this video currently has free shipping, so do it now so you don't end up having to try to figure out how to get this thing home. This is a toy collecting channel usually, so it goes without saying that I'm gonna recommend toys. The main action figures for the Marvel brand are Marvel Legends by Hasbro. The link below will take you to a page of a bunch of different current Marvel Legends up for sale. One thing to warn you though, if you pre-order them and it says November or December, there's a very good chance they won't get here in time for Christmas because toys are known to run behind and retailers are known to not have really good luck at getting their toys at the correct date. I did link to some specific toys that are currently out that are really popular that I think your nerd's gonna love if you don't want to have to do any thinking. Staying on the toys, DC McFarlane is a line of toys very similar to Marvel Legends that takes care of the DC figures. This line actually just started in January of 2020, so it's not too old, but it's taking over from a Mattel line that they did previously. The figures are insane. They have at least 22 points of articulation. Again, link to a couple places where you can find them and you can choose the one you want, or you can look at my link and you can see the ones that I recommended as great buys. All right, if you want to knock someone's socks off, I mean really knock their socks off and price is not an issue, Hot Toys. These are action figures in the 1/6 scale, so think like the old G.I. Joes or Barbies even. They're 12 inches or so on average. These go anywhere between $250 and $400, and they're the ultimate version of the action figure. Basically every accessory you can imagine, alternate heads, alternate hands, full articulation. They're the Rolls Royce of the toy industry. Same goes for the premium collectibles figures by Sideshow. These are very, 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 very similar to Hot Toys, but Hot Toys have a much higher fan appreciation following. Honestly, I think the quality is about the same, and these are about $100 or so cheaper per each, and they also have a much wider selection of characters. If your Marvel or DC fan is really big into the movies, try giving them a comic book. Blow their mind, let them see the source material. I have 4 recommendations for you. First off, All-Star Superman. Now the one I have linked below is the Absolute Edition, so this is a special edition hardcover with a lot of extra art. The art in this is incredible, and the story as well. Sticking with DC, I also recommend Absolute Kingdom Come. This was one of the first comic books I read when I got into this about 10 years ago, and it was trippy to say the least. They don't need to know anything about the current DC comics to be able to read and enjoy this book. And this is another Absolute Edition hardcover. One more DC for you, and that is Batman Year One. This marks the first year of Batman and goes through it month by month. And if you read this and then go back and watch Batman Begins, you'll see that a lot of Batman Begins is based specifically straight out of this comic book. On the Marvel side, I recommend the Fantastic Four run by Jonathan Hickman, which you can pick up in 2 easy books. He did this run about 10 years ago, and I didn't get a chance to read it until the last year. It's really, really, really good. Pulls at your heartstrings. It is really long and drawn out, but I think that it's great even for a newcomer to comics. Speaking of newcomers to comics, Astonishing X-Men, the Joss Whedon run. This is my first X-Men book I ever read. After the first Avengers came out, directed by Joss Whedon, I found out he wrote comics, and I decided, oh, I gotta go read them. And this did not disappoint. And lastly, a more recent pick, Secret Wars, which is about what happens when all of the different worlds collide and all the heroes end up on this dystopian wasteland. Again, super trippy, apocalyptic superhero world. Can't recommend it enough. If you want to go with some kind of a cool replica, I have a bunch of recommendations there too. My first recommendation my brother owns. You might have saw it on one of my toy hunt videos. He picked it up super cheap. You're not going to find it that cheap, but you can still get it for a pretty good price, and that's the Infinity Gauntlet. He really loves this thing. He walks around and snaps his fingers with it because he thinks he's going to make me disappear, but it doesn't work. Then we have the Iron Man helmet. This is made by the same people who did the Star Wars Black Series helmets, which I have the Darth Vader version of that. I don't have any of the Marvel ones. I have just Darth Vader, but these things are amazing. I have seen the Iron Man helmet in hand. It is a perfect replica. It's so cool. And it's perfect for either display or to wear. If they want to make a cosplay out of it, good luck, but you can do that. Talk about a weird but cool gift. How about an interactive Deadpool head? This thing talks to you. It's got over 600 lines of dialogue, and it is not for kids, as it says right on the packaging. This is one of those things I have not added to my collection yet, but I really need to, so someone needs to give this video to my mom. Again, a final reminder that the links to everything mentioned in this video are down in the description below, and you might want to check out some of the other holiday gift guides I did, which I'm going to link to on the screen right now. Till next time, be cool and stay nerdy.